over the intelligence community as to Senator Schumer wanting Parnas in the audience. If you don't understand that
this is one of Rudy Giuliani's business associates,
crooked as a snake, facing indictment. So Schiff gets called by a Russian hoaxer. I've got photos of President Trump in a compromised situation. To every American politician, you should be very cautious about receiving information coming out of the Ukraine and other countries that may be backed by Russian misinformation.
Does the president know that?
I hope so.
Apparently,
well, if he's watching the show, here's what I would tell the president. I'm going to get to the bottom of the FISA warrant process because it was an abuse of power of the Department of Justice, the FBI, and we're going to make sure that Hunter Biden's conflict of interest is explored because it's legitimate. How could Joe Biden really fight corruption when his son's sitting on the Burisma board?
But can you clarify? You said you talked to Attorney General Barr
this morning.
Has the Department of Justice been ordered to investigate the Bidens?
No, the Department of Justice is receiving information coming out of the Ukraine from Rudy.
Already?
He told me that they have created a process that Rudy could give information and they would see if it's verified. Rudy Giuliani is a well-known man. He's a crime fighter. He's loyal to the president. He's a good lawyer. But what I'm trying to say to the president and anybody else, that the Russians are still up to it. Deterrence is not working. So let's look at Hunter Biden's conflict. Let's look at Joe Biden. Vice President Biden, what did you do when they told you your son was on Burisma's board? It undercut your ability to fight corruption. Did you take it seriously? Obviously he didn't. But when it comes to documents coming out of the Ukraine to Republicans and Democrats, be very cautious. Turn anything you got over to the intel community.
Have you ever said to the president when he repeats things like the idea that there's the DNC server hidden in Ukraine, that this is Russian propaganda that he is repeating and apparently believing? Have you ever said that directly to him?
Well, I don't have any information about the server being in the Ukraine.
But you just said things coming out of Ukraine should be looked at with high scrutiny because of Russian interference.
My point. It was the Russians who hacked into the DNC, not the Ukrainians. But there are people in the Ukraine that were pulling against Trump because they hated Manafort. To suggest there was no political interference coming out of the Ukraine directed toward the president, I think would not withstand scrutiny.
When you have a role as chairman of Senate Judiciary to have oversight of Justice Department.
I'm not in charge of the whole government.
I understand that. However, when you're talking about being asked to do these things and a channel being opened between Rudy Giuliani and the Justice Department, this sounds a lot like this is, in some ways, a taxpayer-funded Oppo research operation against Joe Biden. Isn't this exactly what was at the heart of the impeachment probe to begin with?
No, not at all. There are plenty of people being contacted by folks from the Ukraine. Adam Schiff got contacted by somebody he thought to be a Russian, and he was willing to get on a plane, apparently, and go find the documents. Schumer believes that Parnas has got the goods. Parnas says, I'm in on it. I've never met Parnas. So Democrats are being played, and I'm not going to be played. So we're going to look at the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden connection to the Ukraine. We're going to ask the State Department, why didn't you do something about the conflict of interest? When the John Kerry's chief of staff was warned about Hunter Biden's conflict on Burisma, what did you do, if anything? That's all legitimate. Rudy says he's got the goods. All I can tell Rudy and anybody else, if you got some information connected to the Ukraine against anybody, go to the Intel Committee, not me.
Yeah, you don't want a part of it right now. We need to finish this conversation.